Tennessee cities.
I think the funniest part of it is your reaction, Cody. Like I
was trying not to lose it immediately.
I made the comparison to when Chuck says something funny and Shaq just loses it. You had to take a minute. Like that's the most I've seen you laugh, I think, at any single thing. It was hilarious.
Tennessee cities.
A part of it is because Alex had that look on his face that you don't see very often on a show where, like, also, it hit him immediately. Like,
I dumped that thing quick.
You did recover very quickly, yes.
Quick. If we weren't on video stream, you'd
never heard it. Well, the audio stream, the Odyssey app, you get the unfiltered version.
Anyway, you guys can watch the show and see what else might happen today. Who knows, right? We got 4 hours to go. Who knows? 913-586-7965, the Jay Southland Tow Service text line. And I'm going to be enunciating everything today. Like anything with T's and cities and everything. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, smart.
Video stream, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the shows here. I'll be honest, we were planning on leading the show with the Chiefs up until about 9:15, 9:30 last night. And then the Royals, I think, had at minimum, series saving, but I think season saving top of the ninth inning. I know they scored 2 runs in the bottom of the eighth, too. Or at the top of the eighth, sorry. The top of the ninth was a season-saving type of half inning for the Royals. And in fact, it's the first time the Royals won a road game when they've been down by at least 4 runs after the 7th since 1997. This is typically not something we see. We don't see, it's hard to do, but we definitely don't see the Royals in their history come back.
Very few teams do.
After being down 4 runs or more in the 7th inning and have a comeback victory like that. And also, comeback victory that did not result from a 3-run home run or something like that. No, it was truly keep the line. Yep. Keep the line moving kind of thing. And boy, oh boy, did they ever need it, though. They had to get that one last night.
Look, honestly, it was and I'm not, again, a couple days ago, I told you when they blew that 6-1 lead, it almost felt like I was getting ready to come into the show and be like, well, that was fun, I guess. And now you're 4.5 games back or 5 games back. You blew a massive lead. We can just go ahead and tie a bow on this thing because the margin for error is thin. There are only 29 games remaining. You trailed the division by 3 games. Would have been 4 had you lost that game yesterday, or 3.5 had you lost that game yesterday. That would have felt like, sadly, Gold, the end of like the good mood times. You lose back-to-back games to the White Sox. You get 2 hits. You muster up 5 hits between 2 games. You don't score any runs. And instead, pinch hitter after pinch hitter stepped up to the plate to help the Royals find a miraculous win. A miraculous win. And look, I felt no better for anybody than Michael Massey, who's had, I imagine for him, an incredibly frustrating season that has seen him not play a baseball game since June 7th. And then he played one yesterday, comes in a pitch hit scenario, gets a big hit, helps the team come from behind and win. And if this can't propel you back into a playoff spot or playoff positioning, as in you're a game or 2 back, well, then nothing is this year. This has got to be the most feel-good win of the year for the Royals.
How to have it, definitely feel good. I would say, now it still is, it quickly gets forgotten if you don't handle business tonight. Yeah. So you're in position, we said you just got to win the series. Okay, they're in position to win the series tonight in Chicago against the White Sox. Let's see if they actually do that. If they do that, then they're still on track for what we've said that they need to do to be in position by that Mariners series in the middle of September. We're going to talk to the general manager of the Kansas City Royals, by the way, JJ Picollo, coming up in 25 minutes. He will join us. We'll get his perspective on not only last night's win and the magnitude of that, but they've got some more roster decisions on the horizon as the calendar will shift to September here very soon. Cags, they just called up Massey. What's their view of him now? Cole Reagan's, of course, in the middle of a rehab assignment, or about to begin one, I think. A rehab assignment in Omaha, hopefully very, very soon. But you just had to have it last night because you're right. I think it was going to switch to, all right, now you're losing series to the Chicago White Sox. You just can't have that with 30 games to go. And to their credit, this is a team. Say what you will about the bad base running, because it's been bad. Say what you will about the lack of offense at times throughout majority of the season. But the team truly, if you go through like the desire, wanting to win, right? The will to win, all that kind of stuff.
The team's never been a quitter.
That's never. The team hasn't quit. That nobody. You can argue about decisions that are made, and you don't like what Q did, or you don't. If somebody made a mistake on the base pass. That's all happened this year. But
they almost got backpicked on second. I thought Isbell was going to get picked off.
But what you can argue about the team this year is like that they are truly in it every single day in terms of not thinking they're out of a baseball game. And that is something that you can say, oh, that should be a no-brainer. Yeah, but that's not how it always works with teams, and it's definitely not always been the case for Royals teams either.
No, it's not. It's not at all. And so, like, the way I view it for them is, I will not say that, like, last night is a one-time example. This is who they are. They have always been a fighter. Hell, they've been a fighter mostly because for a huge chunk of the season, they didn't look like a playoff team. Gold, they were 4 teams ahead of them before they got to the final wild card spot. Climb. And look, it's been slow. It has not been easy. It has not looked easy most of the time. But they find themselves still just 3 games back of a playoff spot. And last night, to your point, they could have just let that be a season ender. Lose back-to-back to Chicago. Gross. Like, that team stinks. And you were going to just go hitless. The offense was going to go cold at the exact wrong time. No. And, like, again, it did not look like they were going to be able to buy a hit. Bobby had multiple bad at-bats. They didn't really have any, at-bats with runners in scoring position each of the last 2 nights. Bobby had some not-so-good at-bats the night before. And so you're like, maybe things are just, like, shifting in a bad way, and they're off. And the guys last night who came through, not the normal guys. Like, I mean, just not the, Michael Massey. Like, I mean, it was all just pinch hit guys. Does Q get credit for that one, by the way? I hate to bring up the Q stuff when it goes right, but it's like, feels like fans want to bring it up a lot when it goes wrong.
Someone was already complaining on the text line that they should have had that lineup the whole game.
Okay.
That's not how, this is where I think it gets very frustrating because just because when they made the lineup switch late, it worked does not mean that guy should have been in the lineup from the beginning. How many times, as I said, people are going to drive themselves crazy all year, and they have. They are going to set lineups, for the most part, based on numbers and matchups and analytics. And by the way, that's how most teams do it now. This is 2025. This is not 1995 where they're doing it off the feel.
I actually wouldn't like it if my team did it off of vibes.
It's not just off the vibes. And so, yes, the guys that pinch hit late in the game, once there was no longer a lefty on the mound or whatever it was, right? They were willing to switch. If there's a lefty on the mound, they're gonna go lefty heavy. It doesn't mean it always works. It did not work the first 7 innings. And then when a righty's on the mound, they went and they switched, right? All of a sudden, Adam Frazier's pinch hitting. I think it was Adam Frazier, right? Michael Massey obviously came off the bench. Yastrzemski came off the bench. I get it, but it's not a direct correlation. We can't just they hit in the 8th and 9th inning, so clearly they should have been hitting one in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. It doesn't work that way.
No, and it wouldn't have worked that way, obviously, depending on the circumstance. But I mean, it genuinely does. Genuinely does feel like a massive win for the Royals. Look, if they just go out and lose today,
then it doesn't matter.
It's kind of like the Grim Reaper Mahomes stuff. That didn't propel you the way that it was meant to propel you. But yeah, I do give this team in particular a lot of credit for their ability to fight. They fought. There are guys who have had terrible years, guys that have had mediocre years, guys that had slow starts to the season. Vinny had a slow start to the season, didn't let it get him down. Michael Massey, right? He's had a difficult year because he hasn't been able to play. Still came through with the big hit. They have found a way to fight. And I don't know that means they'll be a playoff team. I still wouldn't predict
that's not good enough, right? It has to be more than that. But that is definitely something they have had all year. And you brought up Bobby. Look, he has a 15-game hitting streak, but yeah, it was kind of bizarre just the at-bat in a couple big moments, That's something that you would like to see, of course, your star player come through. But it's hard to the guy's got a 15-game hitting streak, he's still hitting 298. You know what I mean? It's hard to
to bag him.
Yeah.
It's so weird with Bobby just set a standard for himself the way people talk about Mahomes' season last year statistically. Bobby statistically, WAR, F-WAR, total counting stats, all of it, is like the 5th most effective player in baseball this year. Okay. It just doesn't compared to last year, you're like, oh, really took a step back there, huh? Every team would pray for a player performing. He just had a bad night. That's fine. He had some at-bats. The at-bat when it was 3-1 and they had multiple runners on in the 8th inning, and that felt like the chance to win the game, right?
Like 2 outs, I think, right?
Yeah, 2 outs. Bases were loaded. He was up 3-1. You're like, man, even a walk gets you a run closer. Okay, let's see how this plays. And it was 3-1, and he took back-to-back strikes and complained about back-to-back strikes that both were in the strike zone, decidedly in the strike zone, and watched him go by and complained about both. Probably indicates he didn't see the ball that well yesterday. And that happens for players, and I'm not going to lose my mind over it. The bigger thing is you found any way to win. I'll give you credit for finding some random way to win because that
in these final 29 games, you're going to have to do that. I mean, there's going to be another game or two at least.
18 and 11 to get to that win total we're talking about that we think makes a playoff spot.
Yeah, and there's going to be another game or two again where you just don't have it, but can you find a way to get a come from behind victory? And fortunately, it was still the White Sox, so that also helped your ability to do that. These are games you have to win. It's one thing if you're struggling against the Tigers, who, by the way, the Detroit Tigers lost last night in extra innings to the A's. Not that we're looking at the divisional standings, but still, anytime they lose, that's good. As you got a series with them coming up. The Rangers did win last night. They're behind you, but if you're just kind of keeping an eye on that. And then, of course, the Mariners yesterday, the Padres took care of them.
Did you see you got the game-winning hit for the Padres last night?
The Padres were up 5-0, so they shouldn't even needed that. But then eventually, yes, Freddie Fermin came through, helping out his old team.
Right. Former Royal Freddie Fermin, helping out the old squad, getting a win against the Mariners late last night, really coming through. It was one of the better feeling wins of the year. It's not the most important one, other than the sense, had you lost that and you were 3.5 games back, how do you feel this morning? You're not fundamentally any further back. You're not that much further back or that much closer. But just the idea of losing that game in that fashion, back-to-back times, it would send me a little bit if I were a team. Versus today, you walk into the clubhouse feeling good. And I'm just hoping that they find some way to carry it. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if it's actually going to be the momentum builder we think. They'll actually have to win tonight. Who's on the mound tonight for the Royals?
Lorenzen pitched last night. Noah Cameron the night before. Top of the order. Is it Waka?
Could be Waka. I feel like he hadn't pitched in a little while.
I need to double check. Admittedly, I had not checked this morning to see, of course, the game right here on 96.5. The Fan. Burgard pitching tonight. 6:40 first pitch.
He's obviously been pretty solid in his time here in Kansas City. Let's hope that continues.
2.79 ERA, I'd say so. Going up against Savali.
Oh, okay.
5.02 ERA. We'll get back to the Royals with JJ Picollo here in 15 minutes as we talk to the general manager of the Royals here on 96.5 The Fan. But let's touch on what happened yesterday. It was the cutdown day in the NFL. There's still some other moves that can happen. Waiver wires, I think, at noon or 11 o'clock our time. We'll find out if there's any claims that go through. And then even then, we have to really kind of wait till Friday for things to fully settle in the NFL roster world, if you will. But a couple things did stand out that I think we're going to be watching if it stays this way. And what does it maybe tell us about what could happen with another player? The fact that on the initial 53-man roster, 8 wide receivers are on the initial 53. That means Jason Brownlee even made the roster. They're not risking him going through waivers. Remember, he would have had to go through waivers, my understanding, just like some of the other younger players would have to, versus some of the vets. Robert Tonyan doesn't have to clear waivers. So if you're wondering, why did they cut Robert Tonyan or waive him?
Because they can just make an agreement with him.
Hey, dude, sign back with us later on this afternoon. He can sign back 3 o'clock this afternoon if you wanted to, and they can make another move when teams have already put in waiver claims, and maybe they can sneak through a Brashard Smith this time around or sneak through a Jason Brownlee this time around. But 8 receivers, is it just the roster game they're playing, or do you think they're keeping 8 because they think there's perhaps a settlement going to happen before the Brazil game for a Rice suspension?
Okay, so one is it could definitely be playing the numbers game for the simple reality that is I don't know, look at teams like the San Francisco 49ers. They have 3 healthy wide receivers on the roster, and one is the guy they just traded for in Sky Moore. So they're in pretty bad shape wide receiver-wise, and a couple of other teams have been continually making moves, like Adam Thielen got dealt today, etc. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's for that. It makes me feel like there's a better chance of a settlement. I'm not telling you that 100% for sure, no question, that a settlement is coming. But the fact that they were willing to keep 8 now, I think makes them want to keep that in play. Hey, on the off chance this guy makes a decision, and we were going to be able to move him to the non-active roster anyway, why wouldn't we hold on to our group and figure out where we're going to be? Pennell was the other surprising one, but again, he could
also still
just return to the team hypothetically, so I'm not going to freak out about it yet. But yeah, I think that there could be a part of at least its safety net. They don't want to let go of any of the wide receivers they have on the roster. They're not keeping 8 week 1. One of these guys will be on the practice squad,
Brownlee,
or
right?
Rasheed Rice will be suspended. Yes.
I mean, Brownlee's the guy that they will try to get to the practice squad in the next day or two, unless Rasheed Rice has a suspension take effect quicker, and then therefore he won't, at that point in time, count against your roster, and then it's a different conversation. So That to me is why they kind of approached it this way. But I expect Tunyon to be back. Mike Pennell, I would assume so. Look, some other team can talk to Pennell's agent and say, hey, we'll pay you X amount of money. Here's the role we see you in. And he can change his mind. But also, I think this is where the Chiefs do have an advantage of being who they have been the last 5 to 7 years. If you're someone like Mike Pennell or Robert Tunyon, we're talking about tight end 3 in Tunyon's case. Why would you go to, let's say Carolina was in? Why would you go to Carolina, similar money to be a number 2 or number 3 tight end when you can have the same thing in Kansas City and have an opportunity to go to a Super Bowl? That's where the Chiefs, I think, have an advantage to convince the veteran, hey, don't pick up your phone from any other team or anything like that. We'll take care of you in a day or two. It'll work out, kind of thing.
I'm not saying there's a 0% chance some of these guys don't end up at other teams, but it also tells you, like, they know the risk. When they cut these guys, they know that there's a chance that they might go. And typically when you're releasing these guys, you know the ones that have more interest. Like, you know the ones that have interest from other teams. And so I'm not going to look. It's also the 3rd tight end and like the 8th defensive lineman. So if both of those guys ended up going somewhere else, am I going to lose my mind over it? No, I'm not. What's funny is even more than the Chiefs 53-man roster itself, easily one of my biggest observations of the cut down time for the Chiefs was that there are 4 wide receivers on the street that Patrick Mahomes won back-to-back Super Bowls with. McCole Hardman, Kadarius Toney, MVS, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if you want to do running back. They're on the street, and he won back-to-back Super Bowls with them 2 and 3 years ago. Those guys don't have a job right now. I'm not saying they won't get a job, but they weren't even like, let's make the 53-man roster guys. And so for the most part, it's like when you start talking about like the depth of the Chiefs wide receiver unit, this is still far, far improved from what they had in previous years, in my opinion.
People on the text line are asking if they should bring back McCole Hardman. I think the ship has sailed. Also, if you did that, then you would end up cutting Nico Remigio because you just have McCole Hardman return kicks if that was the case.
Are you not any more worried about the defensive line room, though? I know that it's Mike Pennell, but he had a career year last year. He had 3 sacks and about as many tackles as he ever has.
I would like him back on the team, but worried. I mean, if we're saying that Mike Pennell's the swinging difference,
then you're not going to Super Bowl.
Then you got some big.
I'm just saying because you're already worried about it, Cody. It seems like more and more than we. I think the defensive line. It's not even about the defensive tackles; it's about the edge rushers more so. But
I think it's
if you're cutting a guy that is a vet in the room and has been productive, had a career year last year, wouldn't that make you a little bit, along with the injury to Omar Norman-Lott, who knows if he's battling injury throughout this time?
But they also did trade. They also did go and trade to bring back Derek Nottie, so that also is part of this equation.
Here's the thing, Drew. Normally, I go the other way, which is if they're willing to let Pennell go, let's just say he leaves, well, then they feel better about the defensive line versus like Buffalo today, who brought in Jordan Poyer. I'm like, oh, you really don't like your safeties. Like when you start bringing people in who are like, oh, like if you bring in McCole Hardman, I'm like, yeah, you don't like your wide receivers enough? You're thinking you need McCole Hardman? Versus if you let people walk, it doesn't make me more concerned you don't have the depth. It makes me feel like you can cover it. Like I get the idea, but like it makes me more comfortable, not less typically, because it means you're willing to lose depth in those spots.
Yeah, because if they thought, one, I also think there's a chance for reference that Mike Pennell signs back with the team anyway. But also if the Chiefs thought, oh my gosh, we're screwed without Mike Pennell, well, then they wouldn't have cut him. I mean,
I also think that would be a damning indictment on your defensive line.
Like, I think it's fair. It's just that Pennell had a better year last year than Derek Nottie did.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I wonder. Like I know you brought him back, but you released the better player, at least based on last season.
Well, if he doesn't sign back up, they don't think so. I mean, like I'm not saying that they're always right, but like if Mike Pennell doesn't sign back with the club, then clearly they don't agree with your assessment there that Mike Pennell's the better player.
I do wonder, because Pennell was playing nose tackle last year. They've been so good at stopping the run, so good in the last couple of years. Does that, I mean, that might be something that is very low on the list, but might be something now that if Mike Pennell's not back, that might be something that it could be worth watching, where run defense-wise, if they're not as good and Mike Pennell's not on the roster,
I know a team he could go sign for that could use some help.
Yeah, please.
In the run defense?
Please. They could use anybody.
That is such a not...
They could use anybody.
Well, Pennell could be available.
Get that guy who at Tampa cut, who went to Florida, was like 450 pounds.
That guy. Well, he couldn't practice. He was so overweight.
I know.
The Watson kid. He couldn't get cleared to practice. That's how big he was.
Bring him over.
Yeah. For you in Cincinnati. No, if I had a guess, I will guess that Tunyon over the next 2 or 3 days, if not later today, Tunyon and Pinnell are both back. If I had a guess, Tunyon more likely than Pinnell, but I would guess both are back. If not, then they obviously feel good enough about their interior defensive line that they don't need Mike Pinnell.
Yeah, that's how I view it. I know that it's like supposed to be, but like normally I view it as a good thing. If you're willing to let go of quality depth, you like the depth of your defensive line.
Yeah, you had a close one there, Gold. And I didn't catch it, otherwise I would have cut it.
What, did you?
I said swinging difference. Like the swing candidate.
So somebody said careful.
Oh, that's not a...
How are you going to say that one? That one's going to be much harder to say.
How difference?
I mean, that's like 3 syllables to one.
They're not even close to... I could have phrased it better, but we weren't close to a slip-up, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, we weren't going to have another Tennessee.
Depends on where your mindset is, I guess, in terms of how you...
I think everybody's just watching the way you speak
now.
No,
yeah, everybody's really...
The text line is on it today.
Man. I think the morning show really leaned into your...
Well, they played a song.
Should
Tennessee
we hear
Whiskey. It wasn't Tennessee Whiskey. It wasn't that song.
Should we hear part of one?
Yeah, this was...
These are AI generated?
So the morning show obviously
AI.
heard the Tennessee cities yesterday, and they had a couple AI songs created. This was probably the best one.
Yeah, I hear the legends calling all about them Tennessee cities. From Knoxville to Nashville, don't care which one it is. I love Tennessee cities, baby, all of them Tennessee cities. Well, I love Tennessee cities, every single Tennessee city. Just a Kansas City kid in love with Tennessee cities.
It goes on from there.
That one's funny because if you just replace it with your error, then it's very funny.
Cody's next song is going to be remixing that.
That one, it's like, this is the problem with like the AI
the accent
song.
too.
He just keeps saying the same like 7 things over and over again.
But for this case, it actually makes it funnier.
Yes.
Cody, some people would argue that country songs are already that way anyways, but...
Oh? They just repeat themselves too much?
I don't really listen to country.
I think that's a lot of music, though, nowadays.
For sure. Yeah.
They can't all have lines about, A minor and then...
Not everybody's Kendrick Lamar. Not everybody's Kendrick Lamar.
Up next, we will be joined by the general manager of the Kansas City Royals, JJ Picollo. I want to ask him about last night's big win and also where are we at with Cole Reagans and his potential rehab stint. That's next here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
When enjoying family and friends this Labor Day, bring out the grill and bring out the Gates Barbecue Extra Hot Sauce. It's great on spinach, asparagus, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. While you're at it, be sure to use Gates Hot and Spicy seasonings on fresh fruit, vegetables, popcorn, nuts, or enhance your salad dressings with Gates Hot and Spicy seasoning for that extra flavor pop. Pick these up at your local grocer, and if you don't see them, ask for them. Make Gates Barbecue a part of your Labor Day. Gates Barbecue. Thanks. With love.
Flooded bathroom? AC on the fritz? When things go wrong, you need reliable service fast. Call Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter and take $50 off any HVAC, plumbing, or electrical repair over $200. The pros at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to fix the problem. Over 40 years experience, more than 8,000 5-star reviews, plus our exceptional service guarantee means you can trust Hamilton to bring comfort and calm back to your home. Visit callhamilton.com for detailed terms and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure where to start? Selling a home can feel overwhelming, especially if you're facing foreclosure, a divorce, an inherited property you don't want, or just need to move quickly. But you don't have to figure it out alone. Rex Buys KC is here to help. As a local home buyer, I understand the Kansas City market inside and out. My family and I live right here, so I know the neighborhoods, the trends, and the challenges homeowners face. That's why I take a consultative approach, helping you explore your options and find the best path forward. We buy houses in any condition, no need for repairs, no agent commissions, and no hidden fees. You'll receive a fair cash offer with a closing timeline that works for you. Whether that's in as little as 7 days or at your own pace, just a simple, hassle-free process designed around your needs. If you're ready to talk through your options, call me today at 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com. Let's find the right solution for you. Rex Buys KC. Local, fair, and focused on you.
This October, the whole family can ride along for the wildest weekend in Kansas City. PBR Outlaw Days, October 3rd through the 5th at T-Mobile Center. Cheer on your Kansas City Outlaws as they battle the world's best on the dirt, under the lights. KansasCityOutlaws.com. Get your tickets now at PBR.com. Kansas City Outlaws, all grit and no quit.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 in monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99, and we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale, now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
In a world parched for excitement, one drink will emerge. Twisted Tea, the refreshing thrill ride of flavor. Recreating its classic role as the hard iced tea that goes down smooth. Twisted Tea doesn't just taste like real iced tea, it's made with real brewed tea and a 5% kick of alcohol. Taste the adventure with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Chiefs coverage is sponsored by Missouri Air National Guard St. Joseph, serving your community your way. Serve your country and build a brighter future with the Missouri Air National Guard. Top-notch training, tuition assistance, and bonuses up to $50,000. Missouri Air National Guard St. Joseph. Aim high. Find your path today. Go to ang.com/MO.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Alexander delivers. Massey lofts it down the right field line. Talkman's over. It drops for a base hit. Pasquantino's in to score. Here comes Yastrzemski. He crosses standing. The Royals tie the game. Michael Massey with his biggest hit of the season. A game-tying two-run single in the top of the 9th inning. We are locked at 4 more in Chicago.
Jake Eisenberg on the call last night right here on 96.5 The Fan. That, of course, was the hit from Massey to tie it up, and Isbell would give the Royals a 5-4 lead, and ultimately Carlos closed it down in the bottom of the ninth. We're going to talk more about that right now with the general manager and vice president of baseball ops for the Kansas City Royals, JJ Picollo. I know it's one game, but we were saying, JJ, it feels like last night was certainly a series-saving win, and in some regards, it's such a big win. I don't think it's crazy, at least for those of us on the radio, to say that was maybe a season-saving type of victory as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd go there, but it's a big win. We still have a lot of games left, but yeah, no doubt our backs are against the wall, and it's a game we expect to win. And we had a tough game the night before, so to get a bounce back win, but in that fashion, should pick us up and hopefully ignite us, moving into the rest of the week.
Particularly for a guy like Michael Massey, I'm sure he's had a very frustrating year to not be able to play, the struggles in the early part of this stuff. Does it, as a guy in charge, right? Do you feel especially good for a player like that to have a big moment in a game that was very important for you?
Yeah, we do, of course. I mean, Michael's had a tough year from performance early in the year to battling the injuries. And, Mike was batting leadoff for us in the playoffs last year. And he's certainly a guy that we have high expectations of and start off tough. But then the injuries get going. So he's never really been able to get some traction this year. That turns out to be a huge at bat. He's facing a left-handed pitcher, and he didn't start the game because it was a lefty, and there he is pinch hitting against a lefty due to the move that the White Sox made, and he was able to lock in, take a great at bat, and find some grass there and knock in the tying runs.
Do you anticipate him starting quite a bit for you guys down the stretch, knowing where you guys were before the season with him?
It's going to be the same as any other player right now. It's going to be matchup based. We've got to win games, and I think the last two games since he's been recalled is a good indication. He played Monday night and started Monday night, and didn't start last night, but got in the game because we were facing a lefty. And as long as we have other options that match up, it's not just Michael Massey. It's many others in that lineup as well that you'll see a lot of what Q's been doing really for the last 2 years, but probably just in more spots than we anticipated going into the year.
When you look at the bullpen, I guess that's a question because we've talked about Q before, and sometimes I think it's easy for fans to knock that stuff. What do you guys think of your bullpen talent? Because I view this as kind of a measuring stick of what you think about Q, JJ, as in if you think they got the best bullpen talent in the league, he's getting a little bit less than he should. If you think you got a top 10 bullpen talent, he's getting that level of performance, and obviously he's overperforming if you think it's less than that. How good of a bullpen, talent-wise, do you think you guys have compared to the rest of the league?
I think that the talent is there. Certainly with some of the injuries we've had, it's made it a little bit more difficult for us. I don't know the last time that we've had the guys that would be in high leverage situations all available for a week or so or more. So, the reason why that question is tough to answer is not only is it what you have currently, but it's how deep your starting pitchers are getting you into games. And as good as our starting pitchers have been over the last, going on 2 years now, the last 3 weeks, it's been a tough run. Very few off days. We're getting 5 to 6 innings instead of 6 to 7. That's an extra inning every night. So Q's done a really incredible job knowing who's down, how we can get through a game, who matches up best, anticipating situations, because it's really not just about the talent at this point in the season. It's fatigue that's set in, and you just can't run those guys out there every single night. We've had several games during this road trip and the homestand where Urseg wasn't available and Estevez wasn't available, or Zerpa's not available when we need him to throw late in the game. We've had several nights like that, and I know that's maybe difficult for fans to understand, but they just can't pitch every night.
Mm-hmm.
We try to stay away from 3 nights in a row. Carlos did it earlier this year, not too long ago. He did it because he needed to, and he was feeling good. But we just can't do that too often. It'll catch up to him. And I think right now we've got 2 off days coming up, Thursday and Monday, and I'm really hoping, I think we all are, that that's going to really give our bullpen the jolt it needs. And regardless of the talent, they're going to be available more after those 2 off days.
We're talking to JJ Picollo, Royals general manager here on 96.5 The Fan. A few weeks ago, we had you on, and I think even at that point, you said, hey, we got to get a little creative even with the rotation. to try to figure this thing out while we're waiting maybe for Cole Reagans to be available. One player that's been really effective for you guys since you acquired him is Ryan Bergert. I know he's pitching tonight for you guys as well. What have you seen from him? And, from the outside, it feels like this could be one of those other moves that we talk about a year from now. We say, wow, this was another one of these pitchers that you guys evaluate at the big league level. And maybe was there a tweak or two you guys saw that has allowed him to pitch at this level?
I can't say there's been a tweak or two. I know Brian and Zach and Mitch, our pitching coaches, were anxious to work with him. The thing that has stood out to all of us is just that he is so composed on the mound. He's given up twice now. He's given up home runs early to guys in the bottom of the lineup, but he doesn't lose his composure, and he gets us through 6 innings or deep into the sixth. That speaks volumes about his maturity level. Especially when you look at he's a rookie. This is his first year in the major leagues, but he's mature beyond his years. His stuff is really good. He's very much like Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, in that it's not a ton of power. It's all about location and throwing strikes and pitch mix and usage. And he's fit right in with the type of pitcher that we feel like we can win with. But he prepares really well. He's quiet, but I think, to answer your question again, it's the composure on the mound that just really stands out. He doesn't get rattled, and that's a pretty key ingredient for a starting pitcher.
And where are things at right now with Cole Reagans? I know that's a player that a lot of fans are obviously hoping you guys can get back here very soon.
Yeah, Cole's excited about where he's at. He threw another bullpen a couple days ago. He's going to throw a live BT, sort of an up and down with hitters standing in the next day or two. He's excited about that, and if he keeps progressing, then we're going to get him on a rehab assignment, hopefully sometime to the middle or latter part of next week. And then he has to start that progression, 2 innings to 3 innings, and we'll have to make a call on when we think he can give us enough pitches where we're not taxing our bullpen just to get Cole back and he's not at 100 pitches, because he won't be at 100 pitches by September 15th. So we've got to be in a good spot that we can have somebody run in there behind him and get us to the 7th between Cole and that other pitcher until Cole gets that pitch count up. So it's going to be tricky, but certainly we're a better team with Cole than without him, and we look forward to his return.
When you look at what you're going to do with the roster, what are you guys looking at for next week? You'll get a couple of extra roster spots. It's not the way it used to be, JJ. You can't just bring up as many as you want. So who are you leaning towards, or what positions are you kind of leaning towards when that roster changes in a week?
Yeah, we're leaning towards a pitcher and a hitter. That you get 2 spots. You can't add 2 pitchers. If we could, we would. You always want the pitching. But we'll add 1 pitcher and 1 hitter. A lot can happen between now and September 1st. It could determine who gets called up. The one thing that really stands out, which we really can't do much about it right now, is we're extremely left-handed. And opportunity to use all those left-handed hitters is going to be difficult. But we'll probably go with who we think fits our team the best come September 1st, and know that it's not going to be a situation where that's a guy that's going into the lineup and playing every day. It's very much going to be part of a rotation, part of a pinch hit situation. That's just the way our team is built right now, much like what you asked about Michael Massey. Michael's going to get his opportunities to play, but given that we've got other left-handed hitting outfielders and Frazier playing well, that's also playing the infield, it makes opportunity for all those left-handers really difficult. So that's why it's a tough one to answer right now, but certainly the leading candidates are left-handed hitters in AAA.
Considering that, I understand that, we all know that Jack Caglianone's a left-handed hitter, and AAA has gone about as easy as it did the last time for him. Would you guys want him in a position where he might just be not an everyday player and instead a spot start guy? Or would you be interested in finding out if he can get through the rest of the minor league season for a few weeks, knowing that you might want him to get those everyday at-bats?
Yeah, that's what we've got to decide on, to be very honest. I mean, you're seeing right through what I'm saying here.
I get it. It's like, using a guy every day is tough, especially a young player that, like a pinch hit thing, might be kind of an awkward spot.
Yeah, but we do know Jack can run the ball out of the ballpark. So that's the interesting thing. We had a situation last night. We're down 2, and we had left-handed hitters coming up, but, Jack's got more power than some of the guys. So it might have been an opportunity last night for Jack to pinch hit. Hard to say. But That is the dilemma we're in. 3 weeks of at-bats, that certainly will help development, or is it at-bats? He would get at-bats if he were to be up. He would get at-bats, but far less at-bats, but higher leverage situations. So which one helps development better? That's a difficult question to answer. We certainly would love for any of our good young players to be part of a playoff race, and that's what we're in. So that's a positive, regardless of what the role is. So there are the things we'll continue to talk about, through this week. And, I know it's only a few days away, but things change quickly. And, a lot of times we have these discussions, but sort of fixes itself, for unfortunate reasons. I hope that's not the case, because we always like to have tough decisions, more so than not. But, it could change between now and then. If it doesn't, that's the exact conversation we're going to be having. What's best for Jack Caglianone?
This is a question I would ask JJ, like, is this a sports radio conversation, or is this a conversation you guys have internally as it relates to Jack Caglianone, which is, like, we look at Jack Caglianone, I'm like, what is he getting out of AAA? Right? Like, are you being challenged there? Because it went easy the first time, and obviously since he's been in AAA, it's like there's a part of me that feels like, are you getting better if this level doesn't challenge you?
I think the way I would answer that is your question is dead on. We went through that back in June. He wasn't getting challenged in the minor leagues. So, and it was during a time we were trying to get our traction, get going offensively. Right now, the most important thing is we put the best team on the field to try to make the playoffs. And I hope our fans and believe our fans would agree with that. So, what we did in June may be different than what we do in September, because we're running out of games to try to make up the ground we need to make up. So while Jack is very important to our future, I would like to think that people want to come to our last two homestands in September to watch us try to win games, and that's what we're going to be trying to do. So that's the tough thing right now. Again, it may take care of itself. We may figure out a way. And right now, Q, I think, again, using Adam Frazier as a good example, the hot hands are playing. Mm-hmm. That's who's going to be in the lineup. I mean, Adam Frazier, when we acquired him, we thought it might be 2 to 4 times a week. It's been every day, because he's giving us great at bats. He's getting his hits. Because of the versatility at second base, left field. So, there are the things that change during the course of the season. And by no means does that mean we're disappointing Jack. We knew it was going to be a challenge for a young guy like that to jump in and really impact the game. But there will be a point that you go through the growing pains. We started that process in June and July, and here we are in September. He's been out for a month. He may get a chance in September. He comes up, he swings the bat well. He may be in the lineup every day. You never know how these things go, but we're going to put the best guys out there on any given night.
JJ Picollo, Royals general manager. Always appreciate the time, and we'll check in a couple weeks.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
There you go. That's JJ Picollo with us here on Cody and Gold. Interesting stuff there, I thought, in the last couple minutes about Cags. We can react to that coming up maybe in 15 minutes. We'll get back to that. But there was a little bit of breaking news towards the end as we were talking to JJ Picollo. This from Adam Schefter in the NFL.
Interesting phrasing in this tweet.
Yeah, let me read the exact tweet. So the NFL is aiming for at least a potential 6-game suspension for Chiefs wide receiver Rasheed Rice for violating the league's personal conduct policy, sources tell ESPN. The suspension would kick in at the start of the season. Yeah, how did you take that? Because I read that, I'm like, okay, we know the league initially wanted maybe 10. Schefter had his podcast a week ago, said, no, they're looking more like 8. We know Rasheed Rice, and this hearing is scheduled for September 30th. This tweet makes it seem like they're going to have a settlement. And
right after they kept 8 wide receivers, it seems of note.
And that's why we said, to start the show, okay, are they keeping 8 because they think a settlement is happening? This tweet from Schefter sure makes it seem like there's about to be a settlement for, like, the league is looking for 6 now. Is that the number? Or is it is this just the league is pushing this out and it's going to settle at 4 or 5? This right now makes it seem like he's about to be hit with a 6-game suspension and not be available in Brazil. That's what it sounds like right now.
If I were advising Rasheed Rice, I would tell him to just take the 6. Like, just take the 6 and get back in week 7 and start your NFL career over again, You had your good rookie year. You missed last year for an injury. Miss these 6 games and start anew. That would be my genuine piece of advice for Rasheed Rice. I would just say, take the 6. It's not as good. I think he wants 4 or less. And if it were 4 on the table, I think Rice would take it. The phrasing of it is getting me. They're aiming for at least a potential 6-game suspension, and that it would start at the beginning of the season. What does that mean? They're going to try to get more if it doesn't start at the beginning of the season?
And that's what's confusing, because we know if the only way the suspension starts at the beginning of the year is if that hearing date on September 30th no longer exists, that there's a settlement. Because if Rasheed Rice wants to wait till September 30th for a hearing, he can. That's my understanding.
Yeah, he can.
For this to now potentially start next Friday night, or game week, so next week.
Yeah, anytime.
Right. I mean, whenever the game week officially starts, basically Saturday or whatever. I mean, for them.
For them, Saturday.
Yeah, so Saturday, let's call it. For it to start then, that means Rasheed Rice would have to have given up the opportunity for a hearing and settled on a set number of games and said, I want to just get it over with. Because otherwise, then this thing's going to drag on further. But it is interesting to see this update. And right now, you would have to at least lean that week 1 suspension is happening and that there's going to be a settlement.
I think the way Adam Schefter is phrasing that, he is making it sound like this settlement is close.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, this is always like the between the lines. It feels like he's phrasing it that way from the league's perspective as, well, the league wanted 6, but he got 5. Does,
aiming for at least 6. So yeah, if it's a settlement, is that where all of a sudden it's a 4-game suspension or 5? We've always said 4 to 6.
Rice, just take it. Go ahead. I was going to say, just take this suspension. Like, if they want 6 and you can get in front of Sue and you say, we'll take 5, just take the 5. Take the 6. Like, I don't want this looming over the Chiefs season for the entire year. It seems unnecessary. I understand the difficulty of the schedule. I understand the benefit of being suspended weeks 6 through 10 or 11 or anything else. Just get them out of the way and start fresh.
Yeah, I think
That's
there's
genuine.
a lot of people that would just like to have it over with. I can hear both sides of it, though. If I know the suspension's only 4 games, then sure, I'd rather him play the first 4 weeks and then the suspension kick in. If I got to pick the exact time frame, but maybe it's a situation where they feel good enough about the wide receiver room right this second with who they retained, that they feel like, all right, we can make it through if it's only a 5 or 6 game suspension. And then we have Rasheed Rice healthy, full go, suspension over, all of it behind him, and good to go. The way it sounds from Schefter, later on today maybe, or tomorrow, we might find out that the settlement, when Schefter starts sending out tweets like this, I'm with you, it means something's close. And maybe later on today, we find out that the league is settled with Rasheed Rice and he's serving a 5-game or 6-game suspension beginning essentially now.
It's written in such a vague way. I still don't understand why the league feels like it's got to get 6 out of it. Like, I don't think anyone would have judged them league-wide if it was 4. 4 would have been the same you give for other dangerous driving circumstances, right? Like a DUI or these, like, you're giving them the suspension that is, you did dangerous driving, you endangered others, we suspend 4 games for that. So, like, I don't know why the league wouldn't just be like, put out the thing that you wanted 6. But that you had to settle for 4 so you didn't have to let this thing hang over the league year for half of the season. Because the NFL wants a clean start too. Look, they don't want opening night in Brazil being, but they won't have Rasheed Rice to begin the year. But they'd rather that than in the middle of the year we get into this thing. So just settle it.
I guess only part I'm confused on is the fact that we initially, and as of right the second, there still is a hearing scheduled September 30th in New York.
Maybe they asked for 8 or 10 originally to try to get down, though.
Sure, but is the compromise like, hey, I'm willing to take the suspension, earlier? Basically, like, I'm willing to wrap this thing up now if you'll go down from the 8 or 10 that was reported from Pelissero and others, and all of a sudden it's down to, it's down to 6 or whatever. From the very beginning, we always thought 4 to 6. Then when the Pelissero report came out, it's like, oh, well, it's going to be at least 6. And now we're hearing from Schefter that the
6.
NFL is aiming for at least 6.
So 6 feels like the number. At least 6 means they'll settle for 6. And if they'll give you that to your Rasheed Rice, take it. Look, it does not seem not of note that when the Chiefs released their initial 53-man roster just last night, that they kept 8 wide receivers, an egregiously high number for any team to keep. Sometimes the Chiefs don't keep 7. So, like, to keep 8 wide receivers is a huge number. And you're like, and now you're telling me that the quote from Adam Schefter in there was, They're looking for 6 games. The suspension would kick in at the start of the season. Implies to me that these negotiations are at the very least more advanced. Will it happen for sure? I don't know that I'm willing to say that. Does it seem like that they are significantly closer to finding a resolution between the NFLPA, the league, and Rasheed Rice? And yes, I do feel like that feels like that resolution is closer because of the 8 wide receivers, because of the it would kick in at the beginning of the season phrasing from Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
And 6 games, I don't think we can sit here and be like, they're screwing him over.
No,
if
I
it's
think
6
it's
games.
a very fair punishment. If
It's
that's
on the
ultimately
higher
what it
end
is.
of the punishment that I would assume is in the equitable range of like too lenient. 2 games would have felt too lenient. You want to be honest? That'd have been like, ooh, they really slapped the wrist. 8 games would have felt too far. 6 feels like it's in the range.
Yeah, that just differs person to person. When we've talked about this for months, we've had some texters text in and say he should be suspended. I'm serious. These are real texts.
Suspended.
Should be suspended the whole year, and that we're crazy for thinking 6 to 8. Seriously, we've gotten texts like that. We've also had plenty that said, oh, he should only get a game. I'm serious. Like, that's the range we have gotten.
Or he shouldn't be. Someone the other day said he shouldn't be suspended
Correct.
at all.
So I don't want to act like everybody's in agreement on whatever. I am with you that I think, again, 4 to 6 was the original range. So I thought 4 to 6 was a very fair range. Anything above that, I would start to say, okay, that's a little strong. Anything less than 4, I would say, wow, that's a pretty lenient punishment. So 4 to 6 is in the range.
Yeah, you
if
and
that's in fact where it ends up being. By the way, the first 6 games, I think most of you know this, but Chargers, obviously, in Brazil, Eagles at home, at the Giants, home to Baltimore, at Jacksonville, home to Detroit.
That's a brutal first 6
But he'd be
games,
back
man.
for Buffalo.
That's a brutal.
Commanders.
Back for the Commanders
all
game.
the division games outside of the Chargers first game of the season. Both Broncos game, both Raiders game, the final Chargers game.
Isn't there also a little bit of a risk where if he's like, you know what, no, I'm not settling for 6, and they go to the hearing, and all of a sudden the hearing actually is like, hey, you're getting 8 games.
Oh, there's always
and that's a decision.
risk.
All of a sudden it looks worse. Then you appeal it turns into a whole mess. I'm with you, Cody. Take the 6, get it out of the way. You never have to worry about it again as long as you keep your head straight, which we all assume is going to be the case. You never have to deal with anything like this ever again.
This is why you pay a lawyer. You pay a lawyer to tell you whether or not how big of a risk it is. If they're telling you like, oh no, Sue L. Robinson, softy. She's gonna go easy on you, Rasheed. Trust me, every time. She's only heard this one case. What does she do in all of her other criminal cases? I don't know. Maybe she's hard on criminals in criminal cases about driving at high speeds. And if that's the case, it just depends on what your lawyer's telling you most of the time. You can't make that decision individually. I don't even care if she's lenient or hard. If they put 6 games on the table, I'm taking it. I'm taking the games. Like I just am. That is enough. That is in the range.
Games. I agree.
That is in a range that I can accept. I do not, I'll be honest. It's probably going to cost you one of those first 6. The same way that not having Travis Kelce and Chris Jones cost you the first game a couple of years ago. Doesn't mean that's to cost you the season. They won the Super Bowl that year. But of those 6 games, Gold, if you do not have Rasheed Rice, his offseason decision-making 2 years ago will cost them a game in the first 6. I don't know which one, but it'll cost them one. They're not 3-3 versus 6-0
so
without Rasheed Rice, but it cost them one of those 6.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, Adam Schefter seemingly giving us a heads up that something's about to happen with the Rasheed Rice suspension. Said the NFL aiming for at least a potential 6-game suspension for violating the personal conduct policy. The suspension would kick in at the start of the season. So literally from now till Saturday, I think at any point in time, we could get the official word from the NFL that Rasheed Rice is going to serve a suspension beginning week 1 for 6 games, we would presume. That feels like that's where this is headed now that Schefter's essentially like teasing it to the world.
Any part of you think that this is NFL windpipe Adam Schefter publicly negotiating for the NFL? Like, we want at least 6, which means we'd go for more, Rasheed. And he's throwing it out there to put it in Rasheed's camp that it could be 6, 8, whatever.
I don't think he's public negotiating for the league. I think he got tipped off and basically that they're close to a settlement and
this is his way of saying it.
It's just his scoop. He just got the scoop that he's hearing that it's almost done, basically. And I just think he got a scoop that the league is now talking about a 6-game suspension that would start week 1 instead of waiting until a hearing on September 30th. It's odd that in his tweet he did not reference that there was a hearing already scheduled. I don't know why he didn't do that, but we'll see. Maybe something breaks during the show as well. We'll keep talking about this throughout the day. Up next, I want to get back actually to something JJ Picollo had to say about CAGs. I think he kind of gave us the answer about where that's going to go over the next couple of weeks. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Tune in to hear Royals insider Josh Vernier every Wednesday at 12:30.
We need to nip this in the bud. We need to nip what in the bud?
On your home for Royals baseball, 96.5, The Fan.
If you need roofing needs, Century Roofing will take care of them for you because they've handled 30,000 roofs in the Kansas City area, because they've been doing this for over 35 years, and were voted Best of Johnson County for the 4th year in a row. Voted the best roofing company in Kansas City, thanks to readers over at the Kansas City Star this year as well. A lot of this is because it's hard when you're dealing with big stuff in your house. Trust me, when you become a homeowner and all that stuff, you get kind of scared. You're like, I don't know, man. I got a big need. I want to make sure that I'm not getting ripped off. I want to make sure that this company is going to stand behind their warranty. Well, 35 years in business, locally owned and operated, mean they're easy to get a hold of. I told a story yesterday where I called in to have a small roof repair done to the back of our screen porch where a piece had gotten loose during a heavy storm. When I called up the next day to make the appointment, just as like any other regular Century Roofing customer, I was talking to the owner. The next second, scheduling out my needs. They were there the next day to fix the problem. So if you've had hail damage, storm damage, you're worried about the snow and what it might do, Century Roofing will take care of those needs with a pressure-free free inspection that will make sure you did it. They didn't talk me into a new roof. I just got roof repairs the next time. Maybe you need a new roof and you want to go through the insurance companies. Their experience can help you handle filing a claim as well. So go with Casey-based and female-owned Century Roofing at centuryroofingkc.com and tell them that Cody sent you.
The summer selection is heating up at Reiselman Nissan, and 0% financing is back. Get 0% APR for 5 full years on new Muranos, Rogues, and Pathfinders. Or choose low long-term rates at 1.9% for 72 months or 3.49% for 84 months. Need power? Get up to $6,000 in total rebates on a new Frontier. And if you live in Missouri and lease your new vehicle, you pay 0 sales tax at Reiselman Nissan. Nobody in Kansas City beats our selection or our deals. Head to ReiselmanNissan.com for details. Reiselman Nissan. Every customer, every time.
Smokehouse Barbecue has always been our choice when it comes to barbecue in Kansas City. We love everything about Smokehouse Barbecue. And now Smokehouse has street tacos, their newest menu item. 3 flour tortillas, chopped burnt ends and smoked sausage, plus corn elote and Cajun sour cream and a side. And now, every Tuesday, kids eat for $1.99 with the purchase of an adult entree. So visit Smokehouse Barbecue in Gladstone, Zona Rosa, or Independence, and at smokehousebbq.com. It's Smokehouse Barbecue.
This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help this patient.
Hi, my name is John, and I've been on ED and testosterone treatment at Heartland Men's Health for the past 15 months. I could tell, I was starting to go downhill, and my wife kept telling me, well, you need to go to a clinic that'll specialize in that. And that's what eventually led me into the men's clinic here. Treatment, in my opinion, is a miracle. I was able to perform to an elevated position that, quite honestly, I never thought I'd see again. For my fellow men out there, if you're feeling that you're not up to par, I encourage you, contact Heartland Men's Health and you will see a dramatic difference.
Thank you. It's true. Your initial appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
The season starts at Rally House. From jerseys and hats to tumblers for game day, it's where outrageous selection meets every fan's style.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State, Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House, it's your city, it's your house, it's the Rally House.
Level up your fandom in-store or online at rallyhouse.com.
The smell of football and tailgating is in the air, but Labor Day gives us one final weekend of summer before fall, and Hy-Vee is here to help with all of your Labor Day plans. They have grilling favorites like prime reserve beef, chicken grillers, and their specialty brats. And with the Chiefs opener on September 5th, I'm headed to Hy-Vee to get some new gear and pick up my favorite party treats like those amazing Chiefs-themed sugar cookies. We got it all at Hy-Vee. Fall's on the horizon, football's on the horizon, so kick off your best fall ever with my friends only at Hy-Vee.
If you're crazy for craft beer, a connoisseur of Cabernet, or master of the margarita, Hy-Vee Wine and Spirits has a huge selection in stock and competitively priced. From value bottles of wine starting at $3.99 to top shelf liquors, get 10% off when you mix and match 6 or more bottles. Hy-Vee's knowledgeable and friendly staff is here to help, or place your order through aisles online for added convenience. Low price, selection, service, and convenience. There's more to love at Hy-Vee Wine and Spirits.
Lowe's knows that no matter your paint project, saving is at the top of your list. That's why when you shop today, you can buy one, get one free select Valspar and HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams one-coat coverage interior paints via rebate. Shop these deals in-store or online today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 8/21 through 9/3.
Your cold is coming. Your cold is coming. When you feel a cold coming, shorten it with Zicam, the #1 cold shortening brand.
Oh no, not before my big trip.
The big trip you've been planning is coming up, and so is your cold. But Zicam can shorten your cold and get you back to planning sooner.
Thanks, Revere.
We really should keep Zicam in the house.
Shorten your cold with Zicam.
Take it from America's most revered messenger. Shorten your cold at the first sign with cold shortening products from Zicam, the #1 cold shortening brand. Available in stores or see where to buy at Zicam.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Jefferson's Wings, Burgers, Oysters, located in Lenexa and North Kansas City. Proud lunch partner of Cody and Gold.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Chiefs football. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get back into the Rasheed Rice news from Adam Schefter, suggesting that a potential 6-game suspension starting week 1 is now in play again after the reports about the hearing on September 30th. We'll keep an eye on that. I wanted to circle back, though, to our conversation we just had with JJ Picollo in the last half hour. And the final couple minutes, Cody, were spent about CAGs and where things are at. And you can listen to the full interview, obviously, here very soon up on the Odyssey app and our station website. And we'll bring back that interview in the 1 o'clock hour in its entirety. But it sure sounded like, not a definitive 100%, but boy, oh boy, if they had to make a decision right now, it sounds like they're not calling CAGs back up this season because of how many lefties they have in the lineup already or available already. And not so much that they're worried that he just wouldn't play a whole lot, but just that they have a bunch of lefties that are hitting well, like Adam Frazier and Yastrzemski. And, you know, where does he fit in on a team that's in a playoff push? While also acknowledging, yeah, he's got more pop than any of those guys. And
he might help you win a game late, openly admitting, essentially, he might have pinch hit last night against a righty. Goal because he can put the ball over the fence.
It just sure sounded like, and I'm sure, I don't know how anybody listening didn't take it the same way. I mean, that he basically was like preparing everybody, like, and explaining it to fans a little bit. Like, hey, we're trying to win right now. It's not that we don't believe in CAGs. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but basically what he said is, but
we got 29 games to win games.
And look, there's a real chance that he's not getting called up, is basically what he said. I think that's a fair assessment.
That is exactly how I would read it. If you asked me to have diagnosed that and you and I didn't even have a conversation about it, I'd say, well, he all but told us it is unlikely CAGs get called up. Now, I do think that there's a little bit of hemming and hawing in the sense that he's like, I think he can feel what we feel, which is like, it's not an easy decision in the sense that if CAGs is still the peak player they thought he could be at the time they called him up, when he was white hot and the offense had nothing, and they thought the risk was worth the reward. You know, the reward was worth the risk.
Yeah, he had 70 or 80 games left or whatever it was.
They thought, actually. And, like, he views it, and he's like, damn, there is still a part of you that's like, but, and the problem that is what we said at the end. He is getting, getting everyday bats doesn't mean anything if the at-bats don't mean anything. The at-bats in AAA do not mean anything to me from Jack Caglianone. They are unimportant. He has proven he can destroy AAA pitching like he's a grown man in Little League. It doesn't matter. He had 2 more hits last night. Scored 3 more runs. He's hitting like 390 since he got to AAA. Those at-bats of the everyday, I think I'd like him on the bench. And I think that they're trying to figure out if there's any way to do it, but the left-handed nature of their lineup makes it very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, for weeks we've been saying that he could go 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. I really don't care. He could go 0 for 4. He can go for 8 in 2 days in AAA. I don't care. I just don't think it matters for Caglianone in AAA right now. And for people are asking, like, you guys are saying he won't get called up even when rosters expand.
I don't think so.
Remember, the rules change, so it's as JJ you get 2. Explained it. And it's not only do you get 2, but you can't call up 2 hitters. He said we would
there's
love
a limit to the number of hitters and pitchers. They actually call up 2 hitters, but there's only so many pitchers you can have on the roster.
Yeah,
roster limits like your fantasy.
He said they would call up 2 pitchers if they could. They're not allowed to. So it's going to be 1 hitter and 1 pitcher. And he basically laid it out of they're looking more for a right-handed hitter. And so right now, if you're just looking at the AAA roster, okay, I'm not saying these names are better than him, but just what JJ explained to us, it's guys like Blanco, it's Melendez, it's Rave, it's Cags, it's Waters, and out of those guys, there's 1 righty and 1 switch hitter, and it's not and that's not Cags. So that's what's tricky about it. Sometimes you think Rave and Gritchick are more important. Right now, well, John Rave is in AAA already. And Gritchick, they view him right now as someone that is an ability to hit at the big league level with experience that they like in the lineup right now, even if he's not playing as much as Yastrzemski and others. And so basically, we'll play the cut. Here, actually, let me play if you're just joining us for the first time today. We just got done talking with JJ, and he basically explained, the situation with, Jack Caglianone and on the lineup, right now.
He wasn't getting challenged in the minor leagues. So, and it was during a time we were trying to get our traction, get going offensively. Right now, the most important thing is we put the best team on the field to try to make the playoffs. And I hope our fans and believe our fans would agree with that. So, what we did in June may be different than what we do in September because we're running out of games to try to make up the ground we need to make up. So while Jack is very important to our future, I would like to think that people want to come to our last 2 homestands in September to watch us try to win games.
I do want to talk about this more, but I have to get out of it because we got some breaking news on the Chiefs front again in regards to Rasheed Rice. So,
okay.
I apologize for switching, but this from Diana Rossini. Rasheed Rice has accepted a 6-game suspension that will start week 1, according to a source. That means he's eligible October 19th against the Raiders. So there you go. We had the initial Schefter report. We said something might be happening quickly if he's going to send that out. There you go from Diana Rossini. So Rasheed Rice, and she's reputable. We can trust her reporting.
I think so.
Rasheed Rice not going to play week 1 against the Chargers. Not going to play week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6.
Rice gone 6 games. Okay, so same thing applies. Good for him for taking, as in like this is the right decision. Take the games, move on for the same thing for the reason we just said it 10 minutes ago. This is the logical thing to get it done. And if the NFL was willing to hit it harder than that, I would say, yeah, let's move on let's just move on and take it. If she's saying they're accepting the 6 games, I'll tell you, I think it's costing them one of the 6. I don't know if it's the Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, the Chargers, but it's costing them one of the 6 games. And it also explains why they kept the wide receivers that they kept. Now, I'll say, wide receivers on the paper without Rasheed Rice, it's not the deepest. It's a deep unit, but it's not the most top-heavy group. Who do they lean on, Gold, in these first 6 games the most? Is it beginning of the season, it's Fresh Kelsey? Is it, look what we saw the final 5 weeks of the season with Xavier Worthy, and he takes the answer? Because those are the only 2 guys I think are the answer for who gets the most now that Rasheed Rice is gone. Now, Tyquan Thornton might actually factor in.
I think he's going to play quite a bit early on. I mean, look, the the situation is also worth monitoring with Jalen Royals because he's been injured. If let's say they keep 8 receivers, Rasheed Rice is now suspended week 1 through 6, and Jalen Royals is hurt enough. Do they put him on the short-term IR designated to return or something like that, and he's back in 4 or 5 weeks? Well, then you're actually down to 6 receivers, just like that. And so is that also in play here? Because I think the challenge with Royals, other than his health, is also that even with Worthy and Rice, their rookie years, it took till week 8, 9, or 10 for them to get up to speed. I don't think even if Royals is healthy, we should expect during the first 6 games for Royals to be a huge factor in filling in the void. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, and Xavier Worthy are going to have to step up the most. And this is where it's crucial and why I think they have babied Hollywood Brown injury-wise since training camp week 2, because they have to have him available as much as possible specifically. I'd like it all year, but specifically now weeks 1 through 6. I don't want him to get hurt at all, but if he gets hurt week 8, it's a hell of a lot better than week 1. I'm talking about Hollywood Brown.
There was part of me that was wondering whether or not the Chiefs were going to, for the first time in their history, be willing to take it easy with old Travis Kelce in the first part of the season in an effort to get maximum Travis Kelce come postseason time. Don't feel like that's going to happen now. If there was any part in their head that thought, let's rein it in and let Noah Gray get some more work, I don't see in the first 6 weeks how that'll be the regular part of the equation. Look, this is already still a better wide receiver unit than the time last year when they were in the Super Bowl or the AFC title game. Hell, even when they got Hollywood Brown back. Because at the time they got Hollywood Brown back, their offense was still a limited Isaiah Pacheco, a coming off of injury Hollywood Brown, a rookie wide receiver in Xavier Worthy, and what I think to be a more worn down Travis Kelce than they'll have the first 6 weeks of this season. So I do think that they're better on paper than they were a good chunk of the season last year. And they won 15 games with a weak wide receiver unit last year. I just think it's getting them 1 of the 6. I think the schedule's too tough. I don't think you can be without your number 1 wide receiver and face a neutral site game in Brazil, a road game against difficult opponents, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions. I just think someone's going to get you if you're missing your number 1 wide receiver for 6 games. So if I thought they were going 4-2, I'd say 3-3. If I, and I know we'll do predictions at one point.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
5-1, I'd feel 4-2. I think it's just going to get you a game.
Probably. I mean, look, I think the likelihood of them anyway rolling 6-0 was going to be pretty slim. I mean, I still think with what we saw last year, without Rasheed Rice for a majority of the season because he got hurt in week 4 against the Chargers. And we, at that point in time, saw Xavier Worthy, still a rookie, take time to develop. They didn't have a healthy Hollywood Brown. I'm not trying to downplay that Rasheed Rice is their best offensive weapon. Obviously, he is. I'm just saying...
You're just saying they can win despite.
In a 6-game stretch, I actually would be shocked if they go 3-3. I think...
I was just saying if I thought 4-2, I would take it down to 3-3.
I don't think this is, oh my gosh, they're going to now lose 3 games during that stretch because they don't have Rice. Are they going 6-0 without Rice? That seems very unrealistic, but I would argue maybe that was anyway. I just think that's just the nature of the schedule. This Chiefs offense, if we think they also solve the left tackle problem and they have a better O-line, at least at that important spot, if Kelce is able to give them a little bit more, I don't think any of these are crazy assumptions at this point. And Brown is healthy, which as of right this second he is. Worthy's a better receiver week 1 this year than he was last year.
Yep.
Then
it's a better unit.
I don't think they're going into week 1 just so undermanned that, oh my gosh, how are they going to score? And I know you're not saying that, but it definitely hurts. No question. It does mean that Kelce has to step up his game. It does mean that Hollywood Brown needs to be available for those 6 games out of the gate.
If there's a time for him to be healthy this year, it is the first 6 games. That's for absolutely sure.
Yeah, I just don't think after watching the offense last year without Rice and without Brown and with a rookie Worthy, it's not crazy for me week 1 to think that with a healthy Brown, a healthy Worthy, a slimmer Kelce, and a better left tackle that they can't be perfectly fine on offense. I mean, are they going to score 33 points a game during 6 games? I don't think so. All right.
I do hate that we got to wait a little while to find
out the full offense.
Yeah, I'm tired of it.
But the good
is this plan good or not good? And I want to know.
Sure, but 100%. But it'll be a looming question. But this means now any bit of the risk that we discussed of September 30th hearing. Then the judge waits 2 weeks to nail the suspension down. Then there's an appeal. All of a sudden, it's November 5th, and he's missing the final 7 games there. And then there's always even the risk heading in the playoffs. That's all gone. This is not finalized, by the way, but if you're just joining us, now multiple reports saying Rasheed Rice has accepted. 6-game suspension, which means there was a settlement. That means the hearing is not happening on September 30th, and this is going to be wrapped up at some point here very soon.
Are you surprised he took the 6? I will still say, on paper, there is no precedent for the, and this has been pointed out by a buddy of mine, but like, there's no actual on paper precedent of that many games for this kind of incident. I still am convinced the jail time part of it is what made the NFL.
2 felonies.
Because, again, I can point to one that was 2 games a couple of years ago that was driving, that caused an accident, that caused harm, that was a felony, that put them in that spot, and it was a third of this amount.
Fair or not, there's a reality of this is a bigger name receiver. This is where I don't get the hate that people have on. They think the Chiefs are getting the benefit of that.
I think he's punished
it's
more
the
because of who he
opposite.
plays.
He's a star player. The Chiefs are the face of the league. They're on all these primetime slots. It's actually, I think, on the it's the opposite of that. It's not that they're getting off easy.
But the first name, not going to happen. So the way I would look at this, Gold, is I 100% agree with you that in the sense that if this was no name, let's just say like CJ Hansen, like a no-name player that we just like a player who played for the Chiefs but just got cut. I'm not trying to put but if it was a player of that, if he had done this exact same thing, it's not 6 games. It's just not. It's quietly 3 or 4. It's just quietly, everyone's like, okay, whatever. But because they are the Chiefs and he is one of their best players, it handles a little bit different. I do think you get stung by the good team tax a little bit. But I don't want to undermine, I hate that we have to wait. Because now, week 7, they'll start their offense. And then I'm probably not even allowed to make an opinion on what level of offense they are until 4 weeks after that. Yeah. And that's just assuming everyone stays healthy until the end of that time. We may never know what the second year in a row plan of building a new super offense look like. Now, I still think what you do, which is if the offensive line is notably improved, they're just going to be a better offense by default. Even without Rasheed Rice for the first 6 games.
Yeah, let's say they're a better offense. Is there a way where they're the 8th best offense the first 6 weeks, and then we say, wow, and they haven't even got Rasheed Rice yet? Talk about that excitement. That's the positive spin, obviously.
Yeah.
That we'll see if that actually happens. I don't know.
That's gonna happen,
I don't think this offense the first 6 weeks, though, is going to be bottom 15 in the league or bottom 10 in the league.
They weren't even that last year.
That's my point. Yeah, it's like, and I think they're better positioned to handle it. You get out of the way, and then your hope is, while it sucks having to wait, the back half of the season, you get revved up and you get your chemistry figured out, and you find out this offense down the home stretch of the season, and obviously heading into the playoffs, because ultimately that is still all that matters in Kansas City. It's not how they perform in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. It's how they performed in wild card, divisional round, AFC title game, and really the final 3 weeks of the regular season. I would argue.
Sure, and I prefer it this way for the same reason we mentioned. Then you don't have to recalibrate in the middle of the season. Come week 7, you start figuring out who you are on offense with Rasheed Rice. And I guess for anybody who has a fantasy draft, now you know how much time you're missing with Rasheed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's absolutely
It's going to
true.
make him undraftable in guillotine.
Undraftable? Someone will take him.
Guillotine?
No, when Cody,
I could get eliminated. 6 weeks I got to sit on that player?
He's not undraftable, though, because you have 7, for those that don't know how guillotine works, you have 17 or 18 teams. So think about how deep, and you have 14 on a roster. So, I mean, you've got some guys way down the chart that are on your bench.
You're taking players you never heard of.
Is he going to be a first 5-round pick anymore? No. Is he going to go in your guillotine league? Yeah. By the way, if
Paul Charchian on it.
Yeah,
at
we'll talk to him about this.
Good.
Yeah, I don't think he's undraftable, but you're obviously not using him for 7 weeks.
And in guillotine, you need every starter you got. That starting lineup, as any of us have played in a guillotine league. And again, later this week, keep an eye on the old social channels for Alex and I.
I did do one guillotine league draft,
private
Cody.
Citizens might be interested in guillotine.
I did do one guillotine league draft, and I do have Rasheed Rice on the squad, so that's not great. But
oh no, you thought you were going to get a few weeks in and then settle your problem.
Yeah,
you didn't also take Addison at the same time, right? Okay,
no,
that's good.
It means that I'm going to probably have to start. Oh boy, yeah, not going to be good. But guillotine rosters are weak to begin with. But yeah, that's not good. It's not good news for the old guillotine. It's all good.
No. I mean, it's not great for the Chiefs offense, but I think on paper to start the year, they are already in a better position. Last year, they had no Hollywood Brown. Let's just say by week 4, when they were supposed to be at their maximum, no Hollywood Brown, no Rasheed Rice, rookie Xavier Worthy. I mean, that was pretty bleak. And they didn't even have a guy. They had Justin Watson at that point. And this goes back to the thing we said at the beginning of the show. When you look at one of the biggest takeaways from the 53-man roster was that 4 guys are on the street who are a part of starters, people who played for the Chiefs offense in back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Do I think this buries them? No, and I'd rather just be done. I'd rather they have week 7 through week 18 to figure out who they are offensively and figure out what their limitations are or what their ceiling is before they head into a postseason run, know exactly who you are. And the Buffalo game is the most important game on the schedule because that is absolutely the team that stands the most in your way for the number 1 seed, I think. Although I would argue Baltimore's too, and that is a game that Rasheed Rice will miss.
What do you make of this? I got a text from Bink. Obviously, he is always listening, and he says, this is why I wanted Keenan Allen. This is what he said. And Bink did want Keenan Allen months ago. I just disagree with that. One, I think Keenan Allen doesn't have much left. I would also push back. So Keenan Allen replacing who? So you just, instead of having like Tyquan Thornton or something, I kind of disagree with that. I don't think they needed to go and sign another veteran wide receiver. Would you write Keenan Allen instead of Juju Smith-Schuster?
My issue with a move like that versus what they did do, which is like have a lot of good guys around, Juju, who knows it, or Tyquan or whatever it is. I want to be able to easily displace someone when Rasheed Rice comes back. Let's just say Juju has a good 6 weeks and be like, hey, Juju, great 6 weeks. Get down the bench. Nice seeing you. But your snaps are about to go significantly down.
Yeah, Bink says the Chiefs
want to be able. I think with Keenan, because of his career, it's a little harder to displace him a little bit. I kind of want guys that I can.
He doesn't stay healthy himself. I mean, that's a
very injured player.
I don't want to have a cold text conversation live on the air, but it's relevant to the conversation we're having. Bink said that the Chiefs are now in a jam. I disagree with that as well. I don't believe they're in a jam. Week 1, they're going to have Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy on the field with Travis Kelce. They're not in a jam. They're not in a jam.
That's better than a huge chunk of last year. That's better.
Are they better with Rasheed Rice? Of course they're better with him on the field. Did they lose their top playmaker? Of course. In a jam would imply that Hollywood Brown's not going to be available, and they're down to Worthy, Juju, and Kelce is coming off an injury or something. That's in a jam. Last year was a jam when in week 5 it was Worthy and what would that have been? Kadarius Toney. That was last year? Am I getting 2 years ago? Whatever.
Last year it would have been Justin
Sky
Watson,
Moore, sorry.
Juju,
Sky Moore.
and
Sky Moore. Juju it would have the game against the Saints that they had. He had his best game of the year, right? That was more in a jam than what they're heading into week 1 with. Do you agree?
Yes, because they have Hollywood Brown, who is a player who's at least had almost 1,000 yards in a season, or maybe has had 1,000, whatever the number is, it's close to that, in a season before in the NFL. Xavier Worthy, the last 6 games of last year was tremendous, which means he's a better player now than that.
That's the part that I don't think people are.
They're better on the deep end. On the back end, they're better.
That's the part that I don't think is, making sense. By the way, if you want to text Bink, if he wants to call in during the Chiefs Red Half Hour, we can talk it out with him a little bit.
Sure.
So, let's keep reacting to the news of the day. It's now been reported by basically everybody. It hasn't been officially announced by the league, but multiple reports. Rasheed Rice has accepted a 6-game suspension beginning next week when the Chiefs open up in Brazil against the Chargers. We'll talk more about it next on 96.5 The Fan.
This is Cody and Gold.
You will not decorate my balls, period. I will decorate my balls.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5 The Fan.
Jefferson's has a brand new happy hour designed to save you money. Enjoy half off appetizers and half off your bar tab. 7 days a week at Jefferson's Lenexa and Jefferson's North Kansas City. Yeah, you heard that right. Half off your bar tab during happy hour at both locations. And it gets even better. Mondays are all day happy hour. Plus, they've got reverse happy hour every night. Whether you're catching the game or just kicking back with family and friends, Jefferson's in Lenexa and North Kansas City is the place to be. Proudly local and always delicious. Jefferson's. Wings, burgers, oysters.
Season long, and you can play right now in the state of Missouri. And playing on Underdog is easy. Just choose whether your favorite player will go higher or lower on certain stats, like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your entries right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, and you can play with as little as $1. I love combining entries from multiple sports into one selection to see what I can do. The Underdog app is awesome. Download the app today and sign up with promo code BOB to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first
Is on nearly the entire Ford lineup.
That's a serious summer deal.
Sure is. And unlike your brisket last weekend, these deals aren't dry.
Okay, that's fair. These savings are definitely juicy.
And we're backing it up with 2 years of complimentary maintenance, a non-commissioned sales team, and top trade-in values.
No pressure, no gimmicks at Robside Ford. The way car buying should be.
We're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer, 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 Google reviews, and a better experience from start to finish.
So skip the smoke and the dry meat. This summer, start at Robside Ford.
135th and State Line or robsighc.com. 0% financing, $0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 2 years of complimentary maintenance.
Robside Ford, buy right, drive happy. And next time, maybe stick to potato salad.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure what the best option is? Selling a home, especially when dealing with foreclosure, divorce, job relocation, or an inherited property, can feel overwhelming. That's why I don't just make offers. I help homeowners understand all their options so they can make the right choice with no pressure and no obligation. I'm Rex, a local homebuyer and resident right here in Kansas City. Whether you're looking for a fast cash sale or just want to explore your choices, I'll walk you through the pros and cons of selling to me or listing with an agent. If selling directly is your best move, I'll offer you a fair cash price and a closing timeline that fits your needs in as little as 7 days or on your schedule. No repairs, no commissions, no hidden fees. Just a transparent, hassle-free process so you know exactly what to expect. Let's talk. Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com for a free, no-pressure consultation. Rex Spies KC, helping homeowners make informed decisions with confidence.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting. Great products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the end of summer sale at AutoZone. We're celebrating the end of long days and
to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-548-6839. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-548-6839. 800-548-6839. 800-548-6839.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results vary. Consult with your tax professional prior to enrollment.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by All Weather Decks, Kansas City's most respected deck builder. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net.
If you're just joining us for the first time today, the breaking news of the day, it's not Taylor Swift related today. It is Rasheed. That was yesterday. It is Rasheed Rice related. Adam Schefter and others now reporting that the league and Rice have agreed on a 6-game suspension that will start in week 1, or I should say Rice accepted. I don't know if he actually agreed that that's what he thinks it should be, but he accepted a 6-game suspension that will start week 1, means he's eligible for the Raiders game in Kansas City on October 19th. I was reading the text on there from Bink, and we just said, why don't we just call up Bink? Let me start, Bink, with just your reaction to the suspension, then we can get into your